We're joined now by one of the hardest working men in the hockey business, Michael Caples, the editor of MiHockeyNow, Michigan Hockey Magazine. And I'm old school. I love the feeling of newsprint. That's what it looks like. You can pick it up in just about any rink around in the Detroit area. And Michael, you've followed this NTDP experience from Ann Arbor to Plymouth. You must have some thoughts, especially when you take a look at the renovation of the arena and everything that USA Hockey has brought in.
I think everything's going fantastic here in the transition over from Ann Arbor. For them to finally have a new home, their own home, something that they can make their own, I think it really shows. And the NTDP is really taking another step in being a junior program as well as a training ground for America's best young players.
The thing that impresses me, well, a couple of things impress me. I never realized how many NTDP alums are in the National Hockey League. Last year, and I count all that stuff, 78 played at least one game. 2 others were called up and didn't play, Jack Campbell and Austin Zarnik. I looked at rosters today. It's not quite that amount, but very close to 76.
Yep.
It tells you the quality of the talent that comes through the NTDP.
Absolutely. Every single year, you know that they're bringing in kids who one day you're going to be watching on TV, and you're going to be watching them play in the Stanley Cup Final. And these kids are incredible athletes, and you know they're only going to get better due to the coaching and the training that they get here. It's first class.
The other thing that impresses me, among a lot of things, I never realized this is a national program, of course.
Of course.
But they bring in literally the world of hockey here. When you look at the Five Nations tournament last year in a full house on February 13th when Russia and USA played, you look at the USA National Junior Evaluation Camp. The place was packed here in August for USA and Canada. And we've got other events coming up, the Five Nations, November 1st through the 5th. I think it's something that's really distinctive, and I've said it before. Hey, we love the Red Wings, and we know what they stand for. We love all the University of Michigan, Michigan State. I don't know of anybody else bringing in international hockey at this kind of scope where you see it here at USA Hockey Arena. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. It's a one-of-a-kind experience here, for sure. It's things that you're not going to get anywhere else in the world. I mean, where else could you find a Team USA versus Canada game in August, like you said? It was unbelievable. It felt like you were at the Olympics. The building was packed. You could sense the rivalry. Even though it was an exhibition contest, those boys don't like each other, and they know that they're playing for their country and they're playing their biggest rival. And it was the same thing with Russia last year. That atmosphere was phenomenal when it was US-Russia. And it's events like that that are going to continue to be duplicated here, and it's going to be great.
Well, it's a great segue, because coming up next, the next international tournament not far from now, the U18 Five Nations tournament, November 1st through the 5th, and it should be a dandy. Canada and Russia will not be here, but Finland, who's won every junior tournament at this level over the last year, is going to be here. The Czech Republic, Finland, Sweden, and Team USA. It should be outstanding.
Yeah, Scott Monahan of USA Hockey told me a great story about how in one of those tournaments a long time ago, they were watching a guy that was out there in a visor, and he was lighting up the scoreboard, he was filling up the stat sheet, and everybody was saying, "Who's that guy?" Turns out it was Alex Ovechkin. And there you go. You never know who you're going to be watching in these games. You could be watching the next Alex Ovechkin.
Well, Russia will not be here, but a guy by the name of Klim Kostin last year really impressed me. He's going to be in the NHL sooner than later, I think. Not much different, in my opinion, than a guy like Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews. These other countries certainly have their talented players that are going to be here as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, again, the Five Nations tournament goes November 1st through the 5th. Tickets are very affordable. The early rounds of $5 per day, goes up to $10 and $15 for the last 2 nights. We don't end up with Russia and the United States, or Canada and Russia, but you end up with Finland and the United States the final night, a Saturday night in Plymouth. Again, the hockey draft nicks know the Finns are where it's at with junior hockey outside of the United States. They've won everything.
Yeah, the U.S. has been working with Finland to find out what their secret is, because Finland's population is nowhere near ours, and yet somehow they're a goalie factory. and they're also a player factory. And some of the best players in the world are coming out of that country, and the U.S. and Finland are working together in many ways to figure out how to continue to develop talent overall. But as soon as they get on the ice, they're rivals for sure.
So again, our guest is Michael Caples, Michigan Hockey Now, Michigan Hockey Magazine. Again, if you're an old school like me, this is the paper. But if you're new school like Mike is, he's a little bit younger, and old school like me, you also got to have the Android. And that's one thing I really like about your publication. You've really gone into the social media aspect, and you've gone into online. And I guess in order to not only survive but flourish, you have to have that component in the media now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I get to know most of the kids before they end up at the NTDP because we're communicating with them on Twitter and sending them photos and following them. And as soon as they show up here, they already know me. I already know them. It's great. And we're building connections within the hockey audience in Michigan and beyond. And it's a great way to connect with fans and players alike.
So I have a theory as an old school guy. I think one of the reasons some of these young players, 16 and 17, are so good on camera, things like the Android. They're already connected with the Android. Yep. And, maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but maybe not. I think there's something to that.
Absolutely. The world's certainly changing, and these kids have a phone glued to their hand, and it's a camera, it's a video camera, it's everything all in one. So they're little media rock stars before they even get here.
So Michael, what's your schedule like this weekend? I know you're here tonight, but you could be. You're gonna be at the Joe tomorrow, or what are your plans for the next couple of days?
I was driving around rinks this morning covering the CompuWare Honeybake tournament, great midget and bantam tournament, and this weekend my main focus will be the IIHF World Girls Hockey Weekend, where they're celebrating girls hockey and trying to grow girls hockey at the same time. So I'll be at events for that this weekend, as well as we have staff members that will be at the Joe, they'll be at Yost. We're covering everything this weekend, for sure.
So if somebody needed to find your paper either online or at a rink somewhere, how would they do that?
Yeah, MiHockey.com, that's where you can find us online, and as well as our social media channels, MiHockey on Facebook and MiHockeyNow on Twitter. We're spending every day on there, and we're keeping fans informed.
Anything else you want to add? The next the next 30 seconds is yours. Excellent publication.
Thank you.
And I know we really value your coverage with Michigan Hockey Now, Michigan Hockey Magazine.
I really value my time here. Every time I come into the NTDP, it's a great experience, and you guys are so accommodating. We always appreciate it. It's a great time here.
Well, let's end with this. Look right into that camera. We got a lot of people still trying to figure out this NTDP thing. What would you say to some of the fans? I mean, you cover the whole spectrum. You're going to be at Joe Louis Arena, but you're also going to be covering girls hockey. You cover the entire spectrum.
Yep.
What's your message to the fans about the NTDP?
The NTDP is a wonderful experience for these kids. They bring the best players in the country together to make sure that they're training and developing in the proper way. Incredible coaching staff, incredible trainers, and they really make sure that these boys are getting ready to advance to the next level.
Mike, thanks for your time. Keep working hard. We'll let you get back to your photography duties, and always a pleasure.
Thank you, Pete. Appreciate it.
Mike.